I always said nostalgia can lead you to dangerous places. And you know what they say, it certainly led me to the other day. I played the whole Uncharted series in 5 days alone, and see, this brought me back to a time that I wasn't ready to be brought back. I think this happens every year around this time of the year, and especially what's going on in the world. It certainly doesn't help, so I picked up a controller, saw the Series B free on the store, and I was like, here we go. Was that a mistake? I don't know, but why is nostalgia so good and so bad? And why do we crave that feeling so much? And there's no right or wrong answer here. Each of you will have had different experiences. Some of you have been in the joint for years that being impressed by a new game is just way too hard. And some of you who barely started get impressed by every shiny pixel you see. And to that, I got to say, man, take it all in, because one day you will be just like me, like a grandpa, talking about the good old days.
He was everywhere!
All we had to do was follow the...
That's one less loose end. No! What do you want from me?
You want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted.
I almost didn't this time.
Even though my first console was PS2, I can easily say without second guessing that PS3 were the good old days for me. From doing 360 no-scopes to flight cars in GTA San Andreas, but that was on PS2, to hunt treasures in Uncharted, running trains on Kino der Toten, planting the Russian flag under the supervision of Reznov, going bowling with Roman, to playing SmackDown vs. Raw with friends. I've truly had it all, and these memories are forever gems and just can't be traded. See, nostalgia isn't necessarily bad after all, but it's true what they say, the days of old are never coming back. There's never going to be second, first-time experiences, and that applies to everything, not just gaming. Sometimes I think, man, it would be amazing to experience that game for the first time, just as much as experiencing a movie for the first time. I wish I could rewatch Interstellar for the first time. I just can't be alone, right? And play Call of Duty for the first time too. But sadly, that feeling is never coming back.
You want the numbers, Mason. That's all we've ever wanted.
Currently, the industry have seen a rising numbers of remasters and reboots. I'm not sure if there's that high of a demand for remasters or not, but my opinion on remasters and reboots isn't bad at all. In fact, I love remasters and I want to see more reboots as long as there's new games inside and they are done well. And if the reboots are gonna happen, they got to introduce something new. Modern Warfare and God of War reboots are the prime example. I know some would say Modern Warfare is the worst Call of Duty, and some would say it's the best Call of Duty. I got to say, man, skill-based matchmaking isn't my cup of tea for sure, but if we're only gonna talk about the story, I think it's very well done where they brought back old characters along with introducing new ones. It's just a perfect balance that really doesn't fall into relying solely on nostalgia. Don't get me wrong, both of these games go after so-called quick fixes and try to give you those dopamine and nostalgic shots, which are deservingly needed in my opinion, but they are also actively trying to create a new spark along with it. But quick fixes are never the answer. See, I played the whole Uncharted series the other day, and needless to say, I was addicted. This feeling was only there for me during the PS2 and PS3 days, aka the good old days, but I realized something. After I was done playing the series, I was left empty again, and it was just way worse compared to what I remember in the past. I guess nostalgia can only help you so much, and there are other games that going back to them, it feels good in the moment, but after you have played them for a couple of minutes, for me it was just like 5-10 minutes and I was like, hey man, I just can't do it. My tolerance level definitely declined, and it's really hard for me to go back on the older games and just enjoy them because I have been spoiled with new graphics. But Uncharted is the only series, like, going back to it, I just didn't even care about the graphics, and still to this day, even the first Uncharted graphics are up to par and they aren't even that bad. My first game was ATV Off-Road Furry, and seeing that ATV move when I would move that analog was truly the 8th wonder. Playing God of War for the first time on PS2 was a terrifying experience, and I remember winning a day to past those scenes because the TV would be in my living room. You know what I mean, right? Like I had to take my whole PS2 and TV to another room just to finish the game because of those so-called happy scenes, which I definitely loved during that time. And on PS2, if the disc was scratched, you would have to get a new one as well. And I remember this feeling where I bought a used copy of God of War, and I remember after an hour of playing, my game got stuck and I would just try repeatedly to progress, but it wouldn't let me because my disc was scratched. And then I remember going to my friend's house, he also had God of War, and I was like, hey, I'm having this issue where my game is kind of like lagging and I just cannot progress. I want to see if you're having the same issue or not. And needless to say, I played and I progressed, and guess what? His disc was also scratched. There were myths, which I'm not even sure to this day if they are true or not, where if you use cheat codes in GTA San Andreas, it will further scratch the disc. The PS2 days, man, they just hit different, right? But moving onwards with the PS3, I never really played horror games, but man, playing Uncharted 1 levels that had zombies truly had me scared. And I actually played this game again just recently, and I remember this was truly a horrifying experience for my first playthrough, but now it's just not that bad. That is just nostalgia, man. And growing up, I hate growing up, man. What a great game and series Uncharted still is. Uncharted 2 definitely blew all my expectations, and needless to say, I still adore the Uncharted series, and I wouldn't mind a reboot of the series or even Uncharted 5 with Nathan Drake as long as it is good. But sometimes it's also good to just leave stuff behind. But see, nostalgia is what making me want this series kinda new. I remember 2010 like it was yesterday. I remember that day. All the boys were missing in my class, and I was like, okay, so I'm probably never gonna get the chance to do this again, so let's go ahead and hit on my crush, but I didn't. I went home that day only to find out everyone was playing this game. You may remember it. I think it was called Call of Duty Black Ops. I asked my friend to borrow me that day because I saw him playing, and I saw basically everyone play that day. But after me being rejected, I made a decision as a 14-year-old. I will not take this rejection to heart, and I ended up buying the game. It was truly a masterpiece. I spent days, if not like months, into this zombies mode. Kino der Toten was just a magnificent. Like running trains on that map just hit different. And I platinum Black Ops 1, and I remember my last trophy in Black Ops 1 was that crossbow trophy where you would have to pack a bunch of the crossbow and hit your friend with it. Multiplayer was hitting, I'm not gonna lie, but zombies was where it was for me. The same year I got into Battlefield as well. In fact, Bad Company 2 was my first FPS game. There was a different vibe with Bad Company 2 multiplayer. We also had like Vietnam DLC, and they had like truly like different places, different time, and different weapons, which I absolutely adore. I would just no life squad rush in that game. It was my favorite mode, and playing that on the Port Valdez, I still can't, man. Needless to say, nostalgia is a dangerous thing. Modern Warfare 3 was truly the multiplayer I was addicted to. In fact, it just felt right in Modern Warfare 3 along with Kill Confirmed. Survival was a gem. Those were the years I remember no-lifing this game, and also running outside and playing cops and robbers with friends. And I had a friend, you see, who had his brother no-life on his PS3 account, but at the time I just didn't know. He was basically using his brother to prestige him up on Modern Warfare 3 while he can play with us outside. It was truly wild, and he was definitely a mastermind. There was no one in my group who could rank up that fast in Modern Warfare 3. His small brother was his secret weapon, and when I found out that was his way to pass us in ranks, I truly lol hard. What else can I say? PS3 days were just amazing. You had great games like Assassin's Creed, Battlefield 3, Black Ops 2. Yeah, I just can't forget that. Battlefield 3 and Black Ops 2 were the last two games that had me addicted like no other. I can say GTA 5 was great as well, even GTA 4. I remember GTA 4 on the PC. It felt like real life. I remember when that first came out, I got that game. Obviously, I won't mention how I got that game, but I truly did went out of my way and bought them discs. Going bawling with Roman, especially like jumping off of a cliff and getting a call from your boy Roman and be like, yeah, let's go bowling. It was truly just Coming back to Battlefield 3 and Black Ops 2, those were the last two games that I was addicted to. Where Black Ops 2 was that arcadey shooter, it just felt right, it was fast paced, and it was a break from Battlefield 3 for me. Battlefield 3 had the sense of realism, but it was also fun. For the time, the graphics were just phenomenal. I remember playing on No Shard Canals. In fact, No Shard Canals team deathmatch with like 400 tickets, 1,000 tickets was probably the best thing ever. And I remember like my channel was so small at the time where I would go ahead, rent servers on Battlefield 3 and kind of like put, hey, like if you enjoy playing in my server, check out my YouTube channel. I just miss those days, man. I remember being 6th in the world for the longest sniper rifle headshot. I guess I got it with a friend on Bandar Desert map, which was a huge DLC map. In fact, that was probably the biggest Battlefield map for the time. I'm not sure if this surpassed that or not, but for the time, it was the biggest map in the history of Battlefield. I got a 3-kilometer headshot. I'm not sure if I can say that word on YouTube or not. It was truly wild. Black Ops 2 Zombies was just out of this world. I remember that winter playing Grief on Town. It was truly just next level, and needless to say, every Zombies map in Black Ops 2 was different and unique. You had transit that was fun with friends, and sometimes you could also play this map and troll your friends and leave them behind. I truly hated it, but looking back, I got to say, man, I wish I could go back and troll and be trolled even harder, man. Mob of the Dead and Origins were truly the highlight that obviously set up Black Ops 3. I love Black Ops 3 Zombies. Multiplayer was okay, it was fun to play here and there, but Zombies was just where it was. You had maps like Shadows of Evil, Horizon Drak, Setsubu no Shima, Grad Krovi, Revelations, and they even came out with Zombie Chronicles. 2015 and 2016 were wild, and so far those were the last years, like the good old days. I guess what I'm trying to say here is nostalgia isn't bad at all. It's okay to go back, reminisce, but you gotta admit the days of old are never coming back. Accepting is the only way we can move forward, and maybe one day what we're experiencing at this moment right now can make us look back and be like, hey, that wasn't too bad. I guess what I'm saying here is nostalgia will always be present, and we will all have that feeling after some time has been passed. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. I make Call of Duty and gaming news videos, and sometimes I would love to make these videos as well. If you want to see more, definitely subscribe. Check out a video on the screen. Share with me your experience in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.